What it do, dirtbags? My name is Crucimix, and it's been quite a little while here, hasn't it? I've been off doing some very interesting things that I will be sharing with you in due time, but it's not quite ready yet, so you'll have to wait. But for today, we have something very fun to talk about, very exciting, something I always love talking about, and that's people who annoy me. In specific, we have a couple subjects that are a little bit disparate, but they're connected with a theme. They're separate, but they have the same idea going on, and both have made me irrationally, overwhelmingly angry. Now, I'm not a big politics guy. I've never found it to be all that interesting, and I find most people who are big into politics to kind of have zero life whatsoever. They're just obsessed with the most annoying, irrational, room-clearing, host-scaring thing they can be. But I am familiar with a little thing called horseshoe theory. That being, if you're too politically extreme in one direction, you're just gonna wrap back around and be extreme in the other direction. You know, someone who's extreme on the left is going to have very similar views to someone who's extreme on the right, because both really just want to control people, right? And it would seem that this theory is extremely correct. It's dead on, because this week we've seen some people on both sides acting the exact same way. And I gotta be honest, I absolutely hate it. Starting off with our first subject here, there's been a new game recently that's been all the buzz. Everyone can't stop talking about it. A little indie game called the Coffin of Andy and Leyley. An overnight success, I dare say. People love it for its dark comedy, they love the artwork because these characters just look so good. But it is a pretty dark game. These characters are supposed to be crazy, there's a lot of things like cannibalism, straight up murder, plots, and all sorts of terrible things going on in this video game. And people are not happy about this game, but not because of any of that stuff. No, they're angry because the eponymous characters, Andy and Leyley, being brother and sister, and also slightly too close for comfort, if you get my meaning here. These people aren't angry about the cannibalism, they're not angry about the murders or any of the other dark stuff in the game. No, the slightly unholy romance going on, that's the real issue. And that's the subject of today's video. It's the neo-puritanism that is plaguing both sides of the political extreme recently, and particularly it's mostly Zoomers and Gen Alpha. Look, I'm not a boomer, I'm Gen Z, right? I'm in my early 20s, I'm usually on the side of my people, the people my age, because they're better than millennials, right? That's always been my thought process, but recently the behavior has been absolutely insufferable. I have never seen a generation so absolutely thrilled to tear down people's lives over nothing, and that's exactly what they did. They doxed the creator of this game as well as anyone even slightly affiliated with it. People who are just making memes and all sorts of random people who have barely any connection to the game just for vaguely being positive about it. Beyond that, they also sent random people who are affiliated with the game gore as well as CP, unalive gifts, slurs, and anti-trans soy jacks, so you can probably picture which affiliation, what side of the aisle these people are on. Which begs the question of, when did the people of this particular political persuasion become such pansies? I mean, genuinely, you're sending these kind of gifts, these kinds of images, these kinds of things. These are the things of the dark, the edgy, the subversive, the entertaining. It's fun. Why are you targeting these people? How do you have the cognitive dissonance to send these kinds of things to people who are not that different from you? You think you're fighting degeneracy by being more of a degenerate? What's wrong with you? And how is it that so many people can be so full of themselves to be these neo-puritans, so unhappy, so angry, so viscerally mad about a video game with a slightly uncomfortable romance? I thought you were supposed to be the side that can take a joke. What is this behavior? It's absolutely repulsive. And what's odd, they're only half of the equation for this story, because the exact opposite side is doing the exact same thing. See, one of the other big people who got doxed, not necessarily entirely in relation to this situation, but I believe it was at least tangentially related, was Rev Says Des, someone I've talked about in the past. Now, he can be a little fruity, a little goofy, a little silly. He's not really a cup of tea for everyone, but he doesn't deserve to be doxed. But the exact opposite side of the spectrum, or whatever, the horseshoe that's becoming so tangled with my non-specific verbiage that you have no idea what I'm talking about at this point, was cheering this on. And I want you to know I'm doing that intentionally, because at this point it really doesn't matter what political affiliation I'm talking about. They're acting exactly the same way, like a bunch of children, a bunch of babies who can't handle the slightest bit of edge. And these people feel justified in the doxing of Rev Says Des, because get this, he likes 2D images. He's apparently one of those degenerates I've talked about in the past, but as I've said before, and as I'll say again, it might be gross, gross and off-putting and degenerate and creepy. And it is. It really is. These people who are into these 2D images of little anime girls, it might be the weirdest, grossest, most degenerate thing you can think of, but they aren't pedophiles. They aren't criminals. They're not doing anything wrong. You can't do this to them. You aren't morally justified to leak their home address and images of their house to an entire audience of people who could do God knows what because they're fans of anime titties. Day after day, week after week, I see this endless battle going on, a turf war that just never has any sign of stopping, and it's always the same exact cause and effect. It's always these people angry, furious about what kind of images people slap their uglies to. And the thing that really bothers me is the fact that these people who are doxing people, who are furious, who are really angry, and then celebrating whenever someone gets their livelihood destroyed or yada 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 because of whatever images they like to look at because they like the anime girls, these people are always minors. Like, you can't expect me to care about your opinion whenever legally you aren't even allowed to look at these images. Why do you people keep deciding to go up to artists who say not safe for work? They're drawing these not safe for work images and you decide to cry bully and be like, oh, you can't draw that. Is it brain damage? Did someone go around with a hammer in the early 2000s and just start smashing the soft spot of every child they could find? Like, for the love of God, why are you even on the internet? What are you doing here? Do you know the things I've seen, the nightmares I've endured? Where the hell are your parents?
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more! Where the fuck are your parents? Who are your parents? I'm gonna call Child Protective Services. It's time to stop!
But I digress. As I said at the start of this video, there are actually two events linked together by the same theme. See, earlier this week, a guy I'm a big fan of called Internet Historian got called out for a couple things. In specific, he was supposedly plagiarizing, and it seems that this was the case because he would go on to apologize and edit it out of the videos that it was included in, just trying to make amends for that fact. And you would think that would be where it would end, but no, there's actually a small subsection of people, very bad, very annoying people who really don't like Internet Historian. But why would they not like him? Why would they hate this man who seems to be pretty wholesome? He gets a lot of collaborations with other YouTubers. He just seems like a nice guy trying to make ends meet. But no, he has a secret dark side that makes people absolutely hate him. See, get this. Gather around and listen close. He collaborated with JonTron, and even worse than that, he uses 4chan. What a monster. Anyway, in the wake of all this, a breadtuber made a long video essay calling out Internet Historian, and it really showed the blood in the water. People were frothing at the mouth. They were excited to tackle this situation where barely anything happened. I mean, I legitimately saw someone like saying he's some kind of Nazi because he put his birthday in something as 420, April 20th. That's Hitler's birthday. And definitely absolutely not a weed joke. Never. That could not possibly be a weed joke. Never. Not in a million years. You know, that's also the anniversary of the Columbine shooting, so I guess there's an equal chance that he's a Nazi, a stoner, and a school shooter. Use that as fuel for your fires. And if you're wondering how I knew that off the top of my head, when I was in high school, I wore a trench coat on April 20th because I thought it would be really funny for all three of those reasons, and the teachers did not find it that funny. Would you believe that? But after this, people wanted more because that cancellation wasn't really that strong. I mean, they acted like it was. They were like, oh my god, we took him down. We finally got the bastard. But no, nothing really happened. He kind of rebounded immediately. But these people were hungry. They wanted more. I saw one person say, wendigoon downfall next. And then 20 minutes later, not even, probably less than that, I probably just refreshed my page and immediately saw this banger. This person says, I just thought Wendigoon was an incel. I didn't realize he was a fully blown neo-Nazi who loves Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, now I'm genuinely scared shitless of what he might do. Now, this is funny for a multitude of reasons. The first insult they throw is incel. This guy has a wife, by the way, so he's definitely not an incel. Beyond that, you're scared shitless of what he might do. You think he's a neo-Nazi? This guy's like a church youth pastor. Wendigoon's the kind of guy who says grace before every meal. You really think he's on like Kanye's level or something? What's wrong with you? Now, obviously, given the timing and everything, I don't think this person genuinely believes anything they just said, but I do find it pretty pretty funny to imagine this person absolutely terrified of, like, the most wholesome human being I could imagine. Now, the cancellations and the doxings are pretty separate, but I'd argue they are two sides of the same coin. The affiliations of the politics involved, the people, everything that happened are pretty different, but they're both the same problem. And that problem is the crybaby bullies that seem to have infected every little place on the internet, the kind of people who don't understand the actual real-world repercussions that their actions have. I mean, for instance, going back to the Coffin of Andy and Leyley thing, there was a person who was saying, oh, you can't make jokes about the R-word, you can't make any jokes about unsolicited sexual interactions between two people, and that very same person was cheering on the doxing of the creator of the Coffin of Andy and Leyley. And that's why I say these people have no understanding of the possible repercussions their actions on the internet could have. Because the creator of the Coffin of Andy and Leyley is a woman, and now you just told the internet where she lives. What is wrong with you? You won't even joke about this subject matter, but you just put someone at risk of it, and you're happy about it. People with room temperature IQs are given the power to ruin other people's lives on the internet, and it's absolutely just insufferable. I can't stand it. But I think I've explained enough why I feel that way, and hopefully you agree with me, or at least you enjoyed watching this video, hearing my voice, something about this got you to the end, and for that I am eternally grateful. But I gotta say, it's taking a little bit too long to make any progress in this relationship, and I really want to go harder. I really want to go stronger and better for you, but the thing is, it's a two-way street, so you gotta meet me halfway there. So if you feel the same way I do, and you want to take this relationship to the next level, you're gonna have to do me a favor and mosey on down to that subscribe button and click it with all the force of 1,000 suns. Hell, if you're an overachiever, why don't you click the bell too so you stay updated on when I upload? And guess what? If you really can't get enough of me, obviously I use Twitter, obviously. It's at Crucimix on Twitter. Anyway, that's enough foreplay for today. My name is, has been, and will be Crucimix in the foreseeable future. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Goodbye. Also, if you're Gen Z or Gen Alpha or whatever, I don't actually just hate you. I just hate the hyper-specific niche sector of the population that behaves in a very annoying way. Though if you are like a 12-year-old or something, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but your parents suck. The fact that you ended up on a Crucimix video, I'm sorry. You shouldn't have to deal with this. I'm sorry that they put you in a situation like this. You should get off the internet as fast as humanly possible. By the time I was your age, I had already seen someone's head combust. This is not a place for someone your age. I've seen women eat live rats, like swallowed them whole while they're still kicking and screaming. This place is a nightmare. You should run.